If you're looking for more horror outside of the mainstream, look no further than Unsung Horrors, a podcast about underseen horror movies. I'm Lance.
And I'm Erica. Every other week, we'll cover a horror movie with fewer than 1,000 views on Letterboxd. We'll even give you double feature recommendations to pair with the movies we discuss.
From gothic to shot on video, from slashers to comedies, from giallo to J-horror, we'll cover all the subgenres. So join us as we unearth these hidden gems of horror.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all at Unsung Horrors, available wherever you listen to podcasts. And part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Do you love movies? So do I. What's up, y'all? It's KB, and I love movies. Inviting you to listen to The Conversation, a film podcast where passion meets perspective and opinion. From the old school to the new, I invite a guest on to discuss the movies that thrill us, challenge us, break our hearts, or even blow our minds. There's always new episodes dropping wherever you get your podcasts. So join the conversation. We don't just watch movies. We love talking about them too. The Conversation with KB Loves Movies, a part of Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Hi there, I'm Casualty Chris.
I'm Mike White.
And this is Father Malone.
And we're the hosts of Dreams for Sale, a once-a-month look at the Twilight Zone 1985, otherwise known as the only reboot that matters. But hey, don't tell Jordan Peele and the rest of the yahoos at CBS that. On this episode of Dreams for Sale, we're going to be taking a look at the 21st episode of the show. We're 3 episodes removed from the end of this season. It's taken us over 2 years to get to this point now. Almost 2 years, I guess. When we get to episode 24, it will technically be 2 years. On this episode, we're talking about Need to Know and Red Snow.
Man is a questioning creature, constantly striving for answers. But there is some knowledge for which he is not yet ready. Secrets that once learned overwhelm him. Secrets that for now are best left undisturbed. In the Twilight Zone.
So, Need to Know and Red Snow both aired March 21st, 1986. Need to Know is directed by Teleplay by Mary Sheldon. The original story is written by Sidney Sheldon. Yes, Sidney Sheldon of many a book. He's done a lot of things, obviously, including writing for Twilight.
A lot.
Yeah. A multifaceted individual named Sidney Sheldon. And it stars Frances McDormand and William Petersen. William Petersen of Manhunter and nothing else, because Manhunter is...
Okay.
If you've never seen Manhunter, go watch.
Wait a minute. I'm 100% with you and 100% against you.
Oh, because
he is amazing No, man, he's amazing in Manhunter. Yeah, man. Like,
Never
what are you
seen it.
talking about, Chris? Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. All right, fine. I'm going to take the lead now because William Petersen, one of my favorite actors of all time, and sort of, wholesale because of his performance in Manhunter, the original adaptation of Red Dragon, the Thomas Harris novel that sort of spawned the Hannibal Lecter series. He is fucking amazing. Presents a level of seriousness that I wish everyone on the Twilight Zone had adhered to. But having said that, this is not his best performance, and this is not a really good episode, other than the fact that the concept itself is very, very frightening to me. I don't think they give it its due.
Oh, no. No. They do not.
Not at all. This is a feature film.
It's called Pontypool.
Well, yeah.
Or Cell. Yeah, but you know what? Like we talked about Stephen King on the last episode, let's just not talk about that. Because Cell is a... wow.
Cell is a pretty good book, actually.
Lullaby by Chuck Palahniuk. I mean...
Absolutely, yeah.
Story that we're telling, but it's a good story. And I like I like this episode. Yeah, Petersen isn't as great as he usually is. There's some issues with it. I like Frances McDormand. I like seeing the two of these people together. Yeah, it could have been better, but I don't know. I dug it. I was actually chilled at the end of it.
I'm glad you did, because I did not.
Oh, man. Well, okay, let me jump in then, because, Mike, I totally agree with you. This is a concept that frightens me to my core. The fact that there is a potential virus passed from one another just by a few words that we're never privy to. And Lullaby is a perfect example of that, the Chuck Palahniuk novel, where if you say a certain phrase to a certain number of people, it's going to have deleterious effects. I think in this case, it's a little less successful because we're given the idea that if you hear what the actual meaning of life is, you're going to go insane. But the people who go insane don't really. They kind of go a little cuckoo. They kind of lose their inhibitions a little bit and start acting in a, not necessarily interesting way. But the concept is super strong. It remains strong. I'm waiting for the moment when we get a televised and or cinematic version of this where there is an auditory cue that people hear that they fucking lose it entirely and start murdering everyone in their vicinity. This is not that. But as you said, William Petersen, Frances McDormand on screen for any amount of time in the mid 1980s, that's a win.
That might be the only win of the episode, because it takes a really novel, interesting idea and it really squanders it.
It takes a little while to get going. I mean, we do have the opening kind of thrill to get us going. Yeah, I don't know. I like the way that this is set up. I thought it was effective, but I can see what your point is. I definitely enjoyed this more.
I think the issue is I have enjoyed other things that have used this concept much more innovative and kind of broadly interesting than this. And yes, I know that this is working within 23-minute to 27-minute constraint, but that was no excuse for something like Profile in Silver. And that did a story that we've now seen similar stories, a time travel story about changing the past, and the ramifications on the future. We've seen stories like Need to Know, and the fact that it does this story that we've seen, in my opinion, and doesn't quite land it, it's similar to a Profile in Silver, but it fails unlike a Profile in Silver, which pretty much hits it out of the park. And that's the issue with this segment, is that I've seen other things that use this same idea. They just do it better, and it's hard not to reconcile the two. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Because Pontypool's amazing.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think they could have chopped out, not to jump ahead a little bit, but I think they could have chopped out at least 15 minutes from Red Snow and used that time if they wanted to.
Or they could just take Red Snow and throw it in the trash and pretend like it didn't exist. Because it'll come around as 30 Days of Night eventually anyways. Oh my God in heaven.
I found it very interesting that they're doing contact tracing in Need to Know, which is, really an effective way of figuring out who's talked to who and how things have been passed from one person to another. But when you're dealing with a fake disease like COVID-19, it really doesn't matter at all.
Preach, brother.
Next thing you know, they're going to try to do contact tracing for cancer.
Plandemic, dude. It's a plandemic. Show me the bodies. 110,000 people didn't die. Come on. Fake news.
Fake.
If they weren't testing for it, nobody would have it.
Exactly. We would have many fewer cases if they didn't test.
If any, one might even say. If any, one might even say. I think if they wanted to make this a little bit more successful, for me at least, steer harder into this idea of it's the meaning of life and the meaning of existence. And kind of really punch that home. Because they kind of hint at it and they mention it, but I really want them to punch that home. I don't know. I think you're right. I mean, as much of a joke as you were making about Red Snow, taking away time from Red Snow, this is one of those ideas that really could have worked as a full-length episode. like this segment being the entire episode.
They, in any case like this where you're given the actual idea that there's being imparted from one to another, like this is the meaning of life, it kind of sets the audience up so that all we're waiting for is the actual meaning of life. Something like Lullaby, the Chuck Palahniuk novel, there's sort of a culling song that if you hear it, you're going to go insane. And we're never given what that actually is, and it doesn't really matter. But with something like this, where we're told, I know the meaning of life, and if I tell it to you, you're going to behave like everybody else, then I think the audience, as savvy as they are, don't care whether or not they go insane at the end of it. They really just want the meaning of life. So they kind of hamstrung themselves,
right?
When it comes to the dramatics.
Well, I think I sent you guys the clip that I kept thinking of while I was watching it, which is Monty Python's The World's Funniest Joke, the deadliest joke.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially when the guy who gets told the meaning of life at the beginning just starts laughing before he collapses. I was just like, oh, I remember this joke from World War II.
We can only have each soldier recite one word, because if they were to know any more than that...
And he had to spend a week in hospital.
Yeah.
Well, and we all know what the answer to the meaning of life was in this episode that drove everybody nuts.
Which was?
Nothing. The meaning of life is nothing.
I thought it was 42.
Oh, well. Douglas Adams.
True.
Fan of Douglas Adams myself, not aside, the answer has to be nothing, because that's the only thing that drives everybody nuts.
But that would be fantastic to know at the end. That would be a moment where you could have the lead character or the Frances McDormand character, and she has to learn it from that character, and he tells her, oh, by the way, the meaning of life is, it's meaningless. And then she goes insane. Like that to me, even though it didn't affect the same sort of level of insanity in the audience while we're watching it, would be something
right
that would, that if you're going to say the reason that all these people are doing this thing is because I'm going to give you the meaning of life, and then you don't bother to give us the meaning of life, well, fuck you then.
I hate these kinds of stories where it ends with like a yeah scream and that's it. It's just like, oh, really? Like,
I don't know if you guys are fans of a TV series called Torchwood, which is a spinoff of
Doctor Who.
Doctor Who, yeah. And there's an entire episode about a town somewhere in northern England where people go crazy every once in a while and sacrifice a bunch of people. And the lead character, it gets whispered to him why they're doing what they're doing, which is butchering everyone on a massive scale. And it gets revealed at the very end, which was because it's fun. It's fun to kill all of these people. And that to me was more chilling than everything I had seen before.
Well, it's not because it's going to bring back their honey, that's for sure.
No, man. Yeah, this is the Wicker Man. But
yes, thank you.
If you set it up...
This reference that you're making is the Wicker Man.
Yeah, if you have an actual reason why somebody would lose their mind over something, and then you give us one, like, for instance, it's really just fun to kill people, and that's all. And I'm going to leave it there. Like, oh, well, now I have something to chew on. Whereas what you're saying, Chris, is absolutely true, which is something gets whispered into the lead character's ear, and then they scream off screen. Like...
I've seen it before. Well, I've literally seen it in Chronicle or I've seen it in Tales from the Crypt. I don't need to see it here. Like,
yeah,
give us just that little bit more. It's just you're right there. I think if they had really like steered into that a little bit more, I might have actually liked this episode. I just feel I walked away from this episode just feeling just kind of disappointed because again, it just doesn't do anything new with an idea that's not inherently original. So
even as you said, if the meaning of life is there is no meaning, it's all just darkness, like that would have been something for the viewers to chew on afterwards.
Right. So speaking of not leaving the viewer anything to chew on after the segment's over, let's talk about Red Snow.
Must we?
Ugh. So Red Snow was directed by Jeannot Swark.
Oh, Jeannot Swark!
Jeannot Swark. Written by Michael Cassutt, and it stars George
Dzundza.
Dzundza?
George Dzundza.
George has a lot of Z's in his name, so it's probably Eastern European. Barry Miller is there as well. And this, we were talking about in the previous episode, Button being awful. Ladies and gentlemen, unless the next 3 episodes go over the top of this is the worst segment in the first season of the show.
Wow, really?
It is so fucking bad. It is so fucking generic and boring. Huh? Come on. There's no way you guys liked this segment.
I'm not saying I liked it, but I don't think I was as quite offended as you were.
It's not an offense. It's not an offense thing. It's just, again, I've seen this story before. Why are we doing this story?
This is worse than Tooth or Consequences? I mean, come on, man. Look, this episode super heavy-handed.
Yeah, at least Leprechaun are... See, here's the thing. At least those episodes
the little people of Killarney.
Those episodes were fun to laugh at. This episode provides nothing even in an entertainment value.
Really? You were offended by it?
Hey, no, hold on. It's dark. It's dark 24 hours. What do you think it's going to be? Oh, vampires? Come on.
It's interesting that they are going for full-out horror here.
Yeah.
The first time I think they've really gone for that in a while.
I agree.
Well, they actually mention them as vampires, unlike the other episode with the old man.
No, I think they call them Valpurgis.
Yeah, well, but they're saying that they're vampires. Okay, tell me what kind of monster that guy in that old man episode where he comes to town is.
Well, that's just lame.
But you see my point. These are classical, more or less vampires.
Yeah, and I'm more willing to suspend disbelief and enjoy this episode than I definitely would for an old man who has settled down in a suburban neighborhood, and the relationship with that he has with a child is sort of redeeming him in a way. I liked how serious this episode was. You know me, Chris. I rankle when it comes to matters of the supernatural where the filmmakers have decided that doesn't really matter, and we're gonna approach it from a tongue-in-cheek way. This does not do that. And I think it's mostly successful. Honestly, from my point of view, I think it gets really heavy-handed when they start sort of weaving in the Soviet treatment of their people as a justification for what's actually going on, because I don't care. That's really lame. But, I was enjoying this investigation and the reveal that it was actually vampires. I'm not saying I didn't figure out where it was going. I'm just saying, I had a good time up until then.
My biggest complaint about this one was just the pacing of it when it came to just how much we had to set it up with the idea of the main character. I'm avoiding saying George's last name. The main character being exiled to Siberia, to the Arctic Circle, where we have the 24 hours of night. And it's just like, that was a waste of time. They should have just started the episode with him coming to this new town and investigating this crime. Maybe he's sent there, and maybe he's not being exiled because of his criticism of Stalinism or whatever. Just send this guy up there. Let's get there really quick and let's go.
I totally agree with that, man. We don't need a blackout sketch to begin to figure out who her character is. Just have them show up in our story, and then we'll figure out who they are.
Yeah, and I guess that's to make us sympathize with him. And then when he comes in and he talks about how gypsy is illegal, but you're not in Moscow. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, he's supposed to be nice at that point, right?
Right.
But the fact that we're given a whole other sort of cold opening negates that a lot. I totally agree with you. This should have begun with him showing up where he's showing up. Who is the name? I'm sorry, I did not look at the credit list, but the actor who plays his main sort of,
You're talking about the guy who dies by the wolves?
The compatriot or the enemy?
Well, I mean, he starts out as a compatriot, ends up the enemy. He was in Fame. He was in...
Yeah. Barry Miller, the guy that was in The Chosen, right?
Yes, indeed. Barry Miller, who is so good. Like, I love that guy. He's really good, and I think he does a really good job here, where you can tell he's skittish and nervous about including this guy in what's going on, and then we figure out later it's because they're vampires, but at first it seems like he's just skittish and nervous because he's dealing with a Soviet devotee. So why would he? Because he's been sent here to the Arctic Circle himself based on people he's dealt with in the past. Barry Miller is fucking great. I think he's more than anyone I think we've seen on Twilight Zone 85 so far is a guy who I would point to and go, this should have been a bigger star, honestly.
Yeah, I never understood why he didn't do more. I mean, him in Peggy Sue Got Married, he's absolutely perfect in as well. And I could see him having the exact same career that Kevin J. O'Connor has. You know, it's like he could be the Weasley little, bad guy in so many movies. He could just be that character.
There's a moment in The Last Temptation of Christ where Jesus sort of ends up in his domicile. And he tells Jesus, I've never had a good relationship with God. He always feels like he wants to push me over the edge. And it becomes a moment where, at least as a lapsed Catholic, where I understood the human relationship to God in that moment. And it's because of him. I'm not saying that there are other actors who couldn't have done it, but I think for some reason his means of addressing that to the audience really stuck with me, which is even putting aside the fact, his character in Fame, the Alan Parker film, who is the most tragic of any of the characters in that particular movie, he sells so hardcore. I'm shocked that this guy is not a bigger star today.
I do notice that we aren't really talking about the episode.
No, because the episode is ultimately garbage, but there's a lot good going on in it.
It's 30 Days of Night. I know that came out way after this. It may have even been
can I just say
this,
that
but putting vampires somewhere where it's dark all the time. I mean, yes, sympathetic vampires. I will agree. I do like a good sympathetic vampire.
Did you understand that they were vampires from the get-go?
As soon as they said that they were in a town that's night all the time, yeah, kind of.
I actually thought it was going to be werewolves because we keep hearing the wolves through so much of it.
Me too. They've really hit hard on the wolves aspect of it.
Well, yeah, but wolves are part of the vampire narrative because vampires can shape. Yeah, they can because oh my God, get out of here!
Get out of here!
Vampires can turn into wolves.
Think an underworld where they take care of the vampires, and then you.
I'm thinking of Bram Stoker's Dracula. Thank you very much.
Well, the creatures of the night. They're all controlled by.
Vampires can turn into wolves.
Okay, that's true.
So yeah.
But did you? What was troubling to you about this episode, other than when we find out what's actually going on in the episode?
I just didn't find it a particularly compelling story.
Okay, well, here's the thing, Chris. You're wrong, and
That's
Mike
fine.
and I are.
I am allowed to be wrong in your mind. If me being wrong means I wasn't a huge fan of this episode, that's fine. I mean, again, I think my issue with this episode really stems from the lack of stakes and the lack of a particularly interesting story they're telling. And also the end, there's seemingly a twist that they didn't think we should have known was coming.
Yeah, I'll agree
he
with
reveals
that.
His fangs. Of course he has fangs. Of course he has. It is the end of Thriller in an episode of Twilight. Of course he has fangs. Of course he's a vampire.
Yeah, but then he turns around and there's Blade.
Right. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, there's so much stuff in this episode that just feels...
Hello, comrade.
It just feels very played out. Does that make sense? And that's not a knock. Again, it goes back to need to know. They're very similar in the reasons I wasn't a huge fan of them. They are telling stories that have been told better, and they miss the mark, and it's unfortunate because I would agree with both of you that Red Snow there is an interesting story at the heart of this episode segment. I don't think that they were able to fully coax it out.
You know,
I think they skirted around it. I think they got close, but I think that ultimately they failed when they were trying to tell an interesting, compelling story.
I don't disagree with you that we kind of go nowhere in the end.
What happened?
But I gotta say, honestly, like how seriously they took the material up until that moment made me really appreciate what was going on.
I almost wanted when the Colonel turns around at the end, it goes dun-dun-dun, with like Vincent Price laughing. Like that's what I was expecting at the end of the episode. Like I'm not even kidding. It's like what was that? What's the segment? The Stephen King segment, Grandma?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's the exact same thing.
A little bit. I think it's actually handled better here.
What the kind of the
reveal
shot and the reveal shot.
Yeah, because in Grandma, you know, we had a character who was closing her eyes to us for way too long, and you're just waiting for him to open his eyes.
Sure.
Here, at least, we got a little bit of maybe he's a vampire, maybe he isn't.
If you've thought for any amount of time that he wasn't going to be a vampire, sir, we need to have a long discussion about storytelling.
Clearly, I knew he was a vampire, but
the problem is they thought that you didn't know.
Did they?
Yes, I genuinely believe they thought they were going to put one over on the audience at the end.
Well, they're out of their minds because we're more savvy than that.
I think audiences in 1986 were more savvy than that, is my point. I don't think it's just us here in 2020 looking back on it. I think audiences in 86 were like... Ugh.
But was that the thrust of the whole thing? Was the twist it?
What do you mean, for the entire episode?
Yeah, like, I'm not on board that we were just waiting for this predicated twist. I think, I think we had a pretty good story about what was going on in the Arctic Circle. And, I mean, it's a little bit telegraphed, or a lot telegraphed, but it's more interesting than a lot of episodes we've seen previously. And I think when we started talking about this particular episode, you said it's the worst we've ever seen. And that is just... It's not the case, sir.
I personally think it's my least favorite segment so far.
The least segment segment that you've seen recently.
It just feels like it's spinning its wheels.
A little bit, sure. But is it worse than Monsters? !
Monsters at least had a...
Get out of here. Don't even fucking qualify it. That was bad from beginning to end.
You just want me to like this episode. I'm sorry, I can't do it.
No, I don't want you to like the episode. I just want you to admit.
You want me to walk my opinion back? Well, sir, there will be no
I don't want you to like this episode. I don't like the episode. I just want you to acknowledge that this is not the worst thing we've seen.
I mean, worst is subjective, is it not?
No, it absolutely isn't in this case. There have been far worse than this, and you know what? I'm gonna corner you after the fact, and you're gonna fucking admit to me how bad this one was, as opposed to some of the ones where we were just like, "Oh my god, what is this garbage?"
I'll give you what you want. It's the worst I've seen recently.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes me feel better. Truth or consequences, sir?
That was like 5 episodes ago.
Mike?
5 months ago.
Mike, jump in here.
Mike's not going to get in the middle of a pissing contest.
Sometimes there's just no speaking reason to him.
Oh, get the fuck out of here. You know what? You guys want to die on the hill of red snow? Be my guest.
I don't think either of us are dying on this particular hill.
And George Dzundza would love to have you defend the episode.
Oh my God, you're missing our point.
Oh, maybe I'm just choosing to ignore it.
Listen, man, this is not a great episode. It's okay. It passes the time just fine. But as far as episodes that make me want to shoot myself in the fucking face, this ain't it.
Well, on that note, on Father Malone, make him want to shoot himself in the face on the next episode of Dreams for I'll fucking do it. Calm down, bud. Calm down. On the next episode of Dreams for Sale, we're going to be talking about episode 22 of The Twilight Zone 1985. That is broken into 3 segments. Take My Life, Please, Devil's Alphabet, and The Library. Until then, where can people find you?
You can find me over at the Projection Booth Podcast, which is available at projectionboothpodcast.com.
What about you, Father Malone?
I'm desperately trying to get on the Projection Booth podcast at projectionbooth.com. I know it'll happen eventually. Other than that, if you want to check out my own original material, go over to YouTube. Check out my show on Odd5 Films, OUGHTFIVEFILMS. And twice a month, check out Chronicles from the Crypt, the Twilight Zone. Not the Twilight Zone. Why do I keep saying Twilight Zone? It is the Tales
on that. That's what you say on that show.
I know I do, and I'm not used to it. Check out Chronicles from the Crypt, about the Tales from the Crypt HBO television series from the late 80s, early 90s. And once a month, you can hear me over on the Culture Cast.
But Father Malone.
Yeah.
What is
man,
the name
don't
of
even.
YouTube show?
No. I'm not falling for this week.
Nothing to fall for. It's just a simple question.
Listen, I've got a show. It's called You've Never Seen, and my impetus behind calling it that is maybe here's something that you love and you've never seen in this particular light. Some people take it literally. And for those people, I want to say, I love you and thank you for watching. There.
Mike White, you've seen and so have I.
Oh man. Oh, you both sure have, haven't you?
We have seen. We should start. Mike and I are going to start our own YouTube channel called We've Seen.
We've Seen? I will totally comment on every bullshit thing you've seen.
You're right. I haven't seen this.
I'm going to say, I haven't seen it, so fuck you guys.
It's like the reverse. Oh,
yeah, man. Okay, bring it on, because I'm more than willing. Oh, fuck. Who am I involved with? Are you guys my co-hosts? Are we friends? Yeah. What's even going on here? Okay.
As for me, you can find me on Twitter at casualty_Chris and at the One Season Show. That's it for me. As always, follow us on Twitter at TwilightZone85, TwilightZone85.com. Big thanks, as always, to Roxy Drive and Neutron Dreams for the music for this podcast. And we'll catch you on the next episode.
Hello, my name is Kevin Tudor, and I'm one of the 3 hosts of Almost Major, a film podcast dissecting many major indie studios and the films they release. Every week, myself, Charlie Nash, and Bryden Doyle discuss overlooked, forgotten, or bona fide classic indie films via studio-specific miniseries. We've previously covered numerous films from Artisan Entertainment, Lionsgate Films, and New Line Cinema. Titles including The Blair Witch Project, American Psycho, Dogville, But I'm a Cheerleader, Saw, Requiem for a Dream, and Ringmaster, you know, the Jerry Springer film. Anyways, we have a fun time every week and we hope you will join us. Subscribe to Almost Major wherever you get your podcasts. Now proudly a part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.